Hi everybody, my name is Jeri and I'm here today with the Art Gallery of Greater Victoria to share with you an activity from our teacher resource guide in the present moment. You can find this guide on our website and we have lots of other fun activities on it that you might like to do with your family. So today I thought I'd introduce to you a Japanese artist by the name of Nakahara Nantenbo. Nakahara Nantenbo was born in 1839 and he died in 1925. He was born into a samurai family and into the tradition where calligraphy was a fine art form because of its spirit and its beauty and its energy and its strength. When he was 7 years old, his mother passed away and he decided right then and there that when he grew up he wanted to become a monk so that he could understand the mysteries of life and death. And when he grew up, he did actually become a Japanese Zen master. And he actually really thrived and loved and blossomed in the strict environment of the monasteries. In fact, in order to be admitted into the monastery, for 7 days he was alone and meditated on a wall. So he really did find this really interesting and a way that he wanted to live his life. On top of being a Japanese Zen master, he also was a really talented artist, even though he didn't start painting until he was over 50 years old. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at one of Nakahara Nantenbo's artworks in our collection and be inspired by it. So what I'm going to show you is Enso 1925. I'm going to ask you to have a look. What do you see? What do you notice about the artwork? Did you notice the calligraphy? In Japanese culture, calligraphy is regarded as a form of art, and artists are required to master calligraphy before they can paint. And for Nantenbo, calligraphy and painting were a form of Zen practice, which brings me to another large element in this work. Did you notice the circle? This is called an Enso. An Enso is a symbol and one of the most famous motifs of Japanese Zen calligraphy. It's also closely linked to the act of meditation. In Zen, an Enso is hand-drawn in 1 or 2 unbroken brushstrokes to express a moment when the mind is free, supporting the body to create. What does it mean when I say the mind is free? Well, for me, maybe I can sit outside, start listening to the bees humming in my garden, the sun warming my skin, the birds singing up in the sky, and start to literally forget of my to-do list of everything I have to do today. Be really present in that moment and experiencing what is happening in that moment. And I'm wondering if you can think of a time when your mind was free, maybe on a playground when you were on the swing, going back and forth and higher, soaring like a bird and feeling the wind go through your hair. Were you really worried about anything else, or were you enjoying that moment? Freeing your mind to just be present. That's kind of what that means. So this activity is inspired by the artwork we just looked at, Enso 1925. I'm not Japanese, nor am I a Zen master, but I always like to learn and explore new things, and I thought it might be fun to learn something new with you today and explore what would it be like to make our own Enso with deep respect for these traditions. We're going to create an Enso, and when we're doing that, we're thinking about our breathing and thinking about that circle of breath as we inhale and exhale and how it comes together. And that's how we're going to create. You might find that your Enso circle is incomplete, and that's okay. That's not uncommon to see a circle that doesn't actually meet up and connect. So really what we're doing is we're creating a mirror of this moment on paper to remember it by. All right, so now let's create an Enso together. Grab your paper. This is watercolor paper. You might have cardstock, you might have printer paper, whatever it is you have at home. I'm going to do mine on this great big sheet of rice paper, something I don't think many people will have, but I think it'll be fun to do something with my whole body. So what I'd like you to do is put your paper on the table And make sure you put your hand, not only hold your paper in place so it doesn't move, but also so you start to make a connection between yourself and your materials. And then what I think we should do is close our eyes and start feeling this moment. What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? And now start to listen to your breath. Your inhale, your exhale. Inhale, exhale. And now you'll start thinking about that, how it makes a circle when you breathe. The circle of inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's do that a few times together. Are you starting to see that circle? Now envision while you're breathing how that Enso is going to look on your paper. And I think we should get started. I'm actually going to use some ink, and I actually have a stone that might be similar to something Nakahara Nantenbo used. So pour your ink or your paint. Maybe you're using pencils, maybe you're using crayons, whatever materials you have at home. I'm now going to go ahead and load my brush. I think I'll use this big brush. I'm going to move some of my materials to the side. I'm going to put my ink, make sure I get enough that I can create my Enso in 1 or 2 strokes, just putting it on the tip of the brush. Why I'm doing that, I'm going to start my breath again, because we really want to kind of start really seeing that circle as we breathe in and out. Are you ready? I'm going to stand up. I'm going to place, breathe in. What did you get? What we have now is a capture of this moment that we spent together. Now that you've created an Enso, you could try all sorts of different ways. In fact, if you look at our teacher resource guide, you'll see a humongous rainbow Enso created with a team of artists working together. We usually call that artists who are collaborating. So I'm actually thinking about that rainbow one, and I've taken some paints, just my primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. I have 3 different size paint brushes. I think I'm going to, again, I want to do this quickly because of time, but I might all start over again, getting my hand on the paper, start listening to my breaths, loading my 3 brushes with paint, putting them together. I'm going to stand up. Another Enso, a mirror into this moment, me thinking of what other ways could I maybe create one. I could maybe do it with oil pastels, colored pencils, crayons, whatever you have. But some other, maybe what if I put a whole bunch of them together and hold them in my hand? Begin to think, hand down, breathing in, breathing out, thinking what's happening in my mind, my thoughts, my feelings, feeling that circle, visualizing it. Oh, uh-oh, look at that. Let's try again. That one didn't complete. And I will be remembering how my paper started really moving on, but here's another capture. Okay, so maybe you, like me, just now have made many different Ensos using lots of materials. I'm going to suggest maybe putting them together. Look at them. How are they the same and how are they different? Did all your Ensos end up complete, or did you end up with some incomplete? And if you're having a lot of fun, there's another way we can think about extending this project. You'll find it actually in our teacher resource guide too. Did you know that poetry is also a traditional Zen art? Widely known as the haiku poem. It which also captures a moment in time using 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. Thinking about it in our Enso, the same way we captured this moment, let's do one with a poem. I'm actually going to bring out my first one and think about Enso 1925 that we looked at earlier. Do you remember the calligraphy that went down the side? I'm going to think about how that might look here on my rice paper artwork that I created. So if I'm thinking about syllables, what does that mean? Well, if I say my name, Jeri, that's 2 syllables. So if I'm thinking about a haiku poem that kind of, like my Enso, captures this moment, thinking of 5 syllables, creating with you, making many Enso works, there are 7, was special and fun. Think about where you want to place that in your work. I think mine looks like it might fit down this side. Creating, maybe I'll use a capital letter there, with you, there's 5 syllables, making in many, I need that, Enso works was special and fun. There we go. I've added a haiku to go with my Enso, thinking about how it'll fit into my artwork. Can't wait to see what you create, and I hope that you'll share with us. You can hashtag AGGV until we have time to work together again.